It is 2 in the afternoon in Osaka. Outside, the thermometer reads 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside this home, built the old way, no air conditioner is running. The wall thermometer reads 79. The woman who lives here walked outside this morning, hung one reed blind in front of her window, and went back in. That is the only thing she changed. The blind cost her $20. She has kept it for 11 years. I have watched Western homes try to manage summer heat. What I see is a kind of arms race, a portable air conditioner that cools one room while heating the hallway, window units that cycle all night and still leave the bedroom damp by morning, heavy curtains pulled shut that trap the very heat they were meant to block, and an electricity bill that arrives in August and is not small. Japan's summers are not gentle. Tokyo regularly reaches 95 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity that makes it feel worse. We did not learn to cool our homes because we had better technology. We learned because we had no choice. We stopped the heat before it entered. My name is Kenji. I have kept the same small house for 40 years. My grandmother taught me most of what I know about summer and how to live through it. She never owned an air conditioner. Her home was always cooler than the street outside. Today I will show you 7 methods from traditional Japanese homes. Most cost nothing. The most expensive is $60 per window. For each one I will give you the name, the reason it works, and exactly how to do it in your own home. I have ordered them from the easiest to the most surprising. The last one changed how I use my house every single evening. If you want a calmer, cooler home without the electricity bill, subscribe. We will do this together. Here is the idea underneath all 7 methods. Heat moves in 3 ways: as radiation through air, as conduction through solid materials, and by convection, where warm air rises and cool air flows in to fill the space. Traditional Japanese architecture works with all 3 at once. It stops radiant heat before it reaches the glass. It uses convection to draw hot air out and pull cool air through. It chooses materials that breathe with the body. Think of a kettle. The energy to turn water into steam comes from the water itself. The water cools as it boils. The first method uses the same principle on your pavement. Water evaporating from a hot stone surface steals the heat from that stone. The stone cools. The air just above it cools. You are not adding cold. You are removing heat. That distinction is at the heart of everything I will show you today. The first method is Uchimizu. In Japanese, utsu means to strike, and mizu means water. Striking water. In the Edo period, people in the old neighborhoods of Tokyo threw water on the stone streets outside their homes each evening. It cooled the ground, settled the dust, and was a gesture of welcome before guests arrived. The physics is evaporative cooling. Water on a hot surface absorbs roughly 580 calories of energy per gram as it turns to vapor. That energy comes directly from the stone. Pavement surface temperature can drop 10 to 15 degrees Celsius within minutes. The air 1 meter above the surface drops nearly 4 degrees, which is what your skin actually registers. The detail that matters most is the timing. Do this at dusk, not at noon. At 2 in the afternoon, the sun immediately reheats the surface. You waste water and get almost nothing. At dusk, the sun is low and the evaporation holds through the evening. Wet the surface until it darkens but does not puddle. Stone, concrete, and asphalt all work well. Do not do this on a wood deck. Repeated wetting accelerates rot in timber. Use a watering can for control. Use recycled water where you can. Traditional Japanese households saved bathwater specifically for this. 3 minutes of work. Cost, 0. The second method is cross ventilation. Traditional Japanese homes were built with sliding shoji screens along multiple walls. In summer, these slid open to create paths for air through the house, not merely into it. A single open window creates a pressure zone that extends about 1 room width inside. Past that point, air stagnates. 2 openings on different walls let outdoor air enter, cross the space, and carry heat out with it as it exits. Think of a straw with one end pinched versus both ends open. The pinched one moves almost nothing. The 2 openings must be on different walls, ideally opposite each other. Diagonal placement is more effective still because it forces air across the full diagonal of the room. If you have only one window, open the interior door and a window in the next room, no natural cross path. A box fan placed in the outlet window facing outward creates mechanical cross ventilation where none exists. This works even in a gentle breeze of 1 to 2 meters per second. Cost, 0. The third method uses what physicists call the stack effect. Warm air is lighter than cool air. It rises. In a sealed room, accumulated warmth climbs to the ceiling and sits there all day. A high opening on the warm side of the house lets it escape. The pressure drop that creates draws cooler air in through a low opening on the shaded side. Traditional Japanese farmhouses called minka used high ceiling vents and open ridge beams for exactly this. There is also a feature called the ranma, a decorative latticed or carved panel above the fusuma sliding doors in Japanese rooms, which functioned as a high-level ventilation opening. The raised floor, called takayuka, kept the lower inlet air cool. The architecture embedded the stack effect without calling it anything. It was simply how a house was built. In your own home, a low window on the shaded north or east side serves as the inlet. A skylight, a high clear-story window, a bathroom exhaust vent, or an upstairs window on the warm side serves as the outlet. Even opening a stairwell door works because warm air climbs and escapes upstairs. This functions on completely still days, when there is no wind at all. It does not need a breeze. Cost, 0. The fourth method is tatami. More specifically, the igusa rush grass the mat is woven from. Igusa, known in Latin as Juncus effusus, has been documented in Japanese homes since the Nara period, 710 to 794. First a sleeping surface for aristocracy, it became common in ordinary homes through the Edo period. It is cultivated primarily in Kumamoto Prefecture. The stalks are hollow, with a microscopic sponge-like structure that enables rapid moisture exchange. A standard tatami mat, a 182 centimeters by 91 centimeters, can absorb roughly 500 milliliters of moisture before the surface feels damp. In a humid summer room, it draws moisture continuously from the air and from the skin of anyone resting on it. As that moisture evaporates, the surface stays cool to the touch. It does not warm under the hand the way foam or synthetic material does. The Western habit it replaces is polyester bedding. Polyester's moisture regain, meaning the percentage of its own weight it can absorb, is 0.4%. Linen's is 12%. Sweat on polyester stays on your skin. It has nowhere to go. Sweat on linen wicks into the fiber and evaporates from the outer surface, carrying body heat away with it. The linen is not cooler to begin with. It becomes cooler because it is working. A foldable igusa mat in a single size costs $40 to $80. A quality linen flat sheet runs $40 to $100. Linen pillowcases are $15 to $40 for a pair. If you cannot source igusa, a jute or seagrass rug in a sitting area gives a partial benefit. Air the tatami mat for a few hours once a week in a humid room, leaned against a wall in a breeze. The fresh grass scent of a new mat is genuine. It comes from phytoncide compounds in the Igusa cells. That is documented, not marketing. The fifth method is Sudare, a reed or split bamboo blind hung outside the window, not inside. Price, $15 to $60 per window. Here is the key physics. Sunlight, which is shortwave radiation, passes through glass almost as if the glass is not there. The moment it touches a surface on the other side of the glass, a wall, a floor, your skin, it converts into long-wave infrared heat, and glass blocks that heat from escaping back out. An interior curtain sits behind the glass. By the time the light reaches the curtain, it is already heat, trapped between the glass and the fabric, radiating inward. A Sudare intercepts the sunlight in the open air before the glass. The heat it generates rises away outside, where the open air absorbs it. The United States Department of Energy has measured this directly. Exterior shading reduces solar heat gained through a west-facing window by up to 77%. Interior blinds, fully closed and reflective, reduce it by about 45%. That gap of 32% is the glass. Once light is through the glass, you are managing heat. Before the glass, you are managing light. Managing light is much easier. Sudare also let air pass through their slats. You keep your cross ventilation while shading the window. Interior blackout curtains sacrifice ventilation to gain shade. The Sudare gives you both. Any exterior bamboo or reed roll-up blind achieves the same physics for $15 to $40, mounted outside the glass on 2 cup hooks above the window frame. Leave a small air gap between the slats and the window surface. That gap lets heat from the slats convect away rather than transfer into the glass. For renters, tension rod mounting brackets on the outer frame work without any drilling. The sixth method is Noki, the deep roof eave, or hisashi, a smaller awning mounted over a single window. Traditional Japanese roofs extended 60 to 200 centimeters beyond the exterior wall. This is not an aesthetic preference, it is geometry. In summer, the noon sun in Tokyo sits at nearly 78 degrees of elevation. A correctly sized horizontal overhang blocks that steep angle entirely. In winter, the sun drops to about 30 degrees and passes beneath the same overhang to warm the interior. One fixed structure serves both seasons. The traditional carpenter was doing solar geometry with a square and a rule. The eave is the calculation made permanent in wood. The shaded soil and engawa floor beneath the eave stay cool all day. That cooler perimeter creates a slight temperature difference from the sun-exposed garden beyond, which acts as a gentle pump pulling air toward the house, reinforcing the cross-ventilation and stack effects that are already working. For a retrofit, a fabric awning angled above a south or west window reduces solar heat gain by the same 77% because the principle is identical. A UV-resistant shade sail stretched on tension wire above a problem window costs $30 to $80. A ready-made retractable awning runs $150 to $600 installed yourself. Choose light-colored fabric. It reflects more solar energy than dark fabric and keeps the awning itself cooler. The seventh method is night flushing, rooted in a tradition called Usuzumi. The word breaks into yu, evening or dusk. Suzumi, coolness, and the verb to experience, experiencing the cool of the evening. In the Edo period, families walked at dusk to the veranda, the riverbank, the garden, to receive the evening air as it arrived. Ukiyo-e woodblock prints show people gathered at Ryogoku Bridge in Edo at exactly this hour. They understood without thermometers what to do and when to do it. During the day, your walls, your floors, your furniture absorb heat. Even after outdoor air cools at night, these surfaces go on radiating stored heat into the room for hours. Night flushing moves cooler outdoor air through the building to carry that stored heat out by convection. The mass cools. The room wakes up cooler than the night before. The discipline is in the timing. At dusk, step outside. Hold your wrist in the air. When it feels cooler than the air inside, open everything in a cross-ventilation path. In most temperate climates, this happens 30 to 90 minutes after sunset. In the morning, close every window before outdoor temperature rises above indoor, typically before 8 or 9 in summer. A dual probe, indoor-outdoor thermometer, $10 to $20, makes this exact rather than approximate. It is the one tool I recommend you buy. Passive cooling researchers have measured daytime indoor temperature reductions of 5 to 18 degrees Fahrenheit in buildings that use night flushing compared to those that do not. No refrigerant, no noise. Now what not to do? Interior blackout curtains on a sunny west or south window are a heat trap, not a cooling tool. The solar radiation is already through the glass before it reaches the fabric. Use blackout curtains to sleep in darkness. For cooling, move the shade to the outside of the glass. Opening windows in peak afternoon is widely recommended, but if outdoor air at 2 in the afternoon is hotter than indoor air, you are importing heat. Check before you open. The thermometer tells you when. The Japanese protocol is deliberate. Open when outside is cooler, close before it is not. One soft myth worth naming directly, that Japanese people are simply accustomed to the heat, that tolerance is cultural or physical. Tokyo's summers combine 95 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity that makes it feel like more. Japanese passive cooling developed because the climate is severe. It demanded a solution for centuries before any mechanical cooling existed. The methods work because thermodynamics works, and thermodynamics works the same way in every country and every house. I want to be honest about the limits. Uchimizu cools a local area of 2 to 3 meters. It is not a whole house solution. Night flushing requires a meaningful day-to-night temperature swing. In a heat dome where overnight lows stay above 27 degrees Celsius, outdoor air stays warmer than indoor, and the method does not apply. On those nights, keep the house closed and shaded. If you have asthma or severe pollen allergies, check your local air quality before opening windows at night. During wildfire smoke events, do not night flush. If you have a respiratory condition, please speak with your doctor about what is appropriate for you before opening your home to outdoor air at night. I will not pretend this is a replacement for that conversation. Now let me tell you about Sudare properly, not as a product, as a piece of history. It appears in the Manyoshu, Japan's oldest surviving poetry collection, compiled in the 8th century, more than 4,500 poems. The Sudare appears as a feature of refined domestic life, a screen through which you see outward, but which filters what comes in. Light, heat, the gaze of visitors. By the Heian period, 794 to 1185, it was standard in court architecture. Ladies in waiting sat behind them, privacy and shade from a single woven object. Through the Edo period, it became a fixture in the machiya, the narrow merchant townhouses of Kyoto and Osaka, hung on the south and west faces from the end of the rainy season in late June, taken in at summer's end. Not decoration, the summer configuration of the house. The weave is the mechanism. Each slat shades the one below it. The gaps allow air to convect upward through the screen. The material, split bamboo or reed, breathes with the humidity rather than sealing against it. The spacing between slats is calibrated, wide enough to pass air, narrow enough to diffuse direct sunlight without fully blocking the view. This screen has been in continuous domestic use for 1,200 years, not as a relic kept in a museum, as a solution sold in hardware stores every June, as ordinary as anything else you hang near a window. The West built the sealed double-pane window and ran refrigerant to compensate for what it locked inside. Japan kept the screen, kept the airflow, and stopped the radiation before it reached the glass. Here is how to begin. Tonight at dusk, take a watering can outside. Wet the front step or the patio stones. Come back inside and feel the surface difference under your feet as you walk back in. Then hold your wrist to the outdoor air. When it is cooler than the air inside, open 2 windows on opposite walls. Close them before 8 in the morning. This week, buy or order an exterior bamboo or reed blind for your most sun-affected window, south or west facing. Mount it outside the glass on 2 cup hooks. Leave the air gap between slats and glass, $20 to $40. Look at your pillowcase tonight. If it is polyester, swap it for linen, $15 to $40 for a pair. You will notice the difference the first night. Seasonally, each early June hang the exterior blinds. This is when Japan's rainy season, the tsuyu, ends and summer heat begins. The house shifts to its summer arrangement. In late September, take the blinds in and store them dry. Change the bedding back. The full system, exterior blind on 1 or 2 windows, linen bedding, a $10 thermometer, and the daily habit of opening at dusk and closing at dawn costs $150 to $250 assembled once. A portable air conditioner costs $300 to buy, and then $100 to $200 in electricity every summer after that. Over 5 years, the portable unit costs $800 or more. The passive system pays for itself in year 1. It also makes no noise. It works in a power outage. A small home run this way is not dependent on the grid for its comfort. My grandmother had a phrase she came back to. She said, "We do not cool the room. We stop the room from getting warm in the first place." By the time your air conditioner turns on, she said, you have already lost. I have thought about that for 40 years. The Western instinct is to fight heat with machinery, seal the house, run the refrigerant, overwhelm the problem with enough power. The Japanese instinct, and this is not philosophy, it is thermodynamics, is to intercept heat before it enters, to move with the air when it cools, to rest on what the earth grows. The home is not sealed against nature, it is in timed conversation with it. Open at dusk, close at dawn, hang the shade where light first arrives, let it breathe. There is a Japanese concept called ma, the meaningful gap, the deliberate pause. A Sudare is ma made physical. Light comes through, but heat cannot follow it. A night-flushed room is ma in time. The cool is let in at the right moment and held until morning. You do not need a different house. You need to understand what the heat is doing and meet it at the door before it comes inside. My grandmother's home was always cool in summer. She did not think of it as technique. She thought of it as simply knowing the house. That is what I hope you carry from today. 7 methods, most of them free, all of them older than the power grid. Now you know the house.